Thank you so much, Sheila. Indeed, as John showed, we have a new platform upcoming very soon, which not only has a new UI, but also some improvements at the base level. So here I have a more technical interface of what it looks like to manage an Xnode, which, as mentioned before, is what we're deploying on. So first of all, it's important to understand that this NixOS, what we're based on, is unlike your normal operating system like Windows or macOS. Instead of having a base operating system which you install, and then based on that, installing applications on top, instead of that, you have, as John mentioned, this one configuration file which describes your whole operating system, every application running in it, which means that your operating system only contains the application that you specify in here, which not only gives guarantees for security, unneeded attack vectors, but also minimizes the amount of storage for applications you're not using anymore. Similarly, you can easily remove applications from here and they will be removed from your system, as well as define multiple applications in one go. And when applying this change, this will happen in one atomic action, meaning you don't have an in-between state where you might have installed one package without another one. On top of that, this NixOS is declarative, which means you describe what applications you want and not how to install them. An example there would be, for example, for Olama, which is a popular AI model runner. You can use this setting, which is Olama acceleration, to enable GPU accelerated libraries. Normally, you would need your Olama to be compiled with this functionality inside. But instead here, you enable this one setting. It figures out that it should compile this with a specific setting, as well as pulling in all the dependencies, such as CUDA libraries. So with this one change, you're able to very easily enable or configure the applications that's running. And on top of that, this is for your main Xnode operating system. But for example, what we have in Openmesh Studio is more of an application deployment. So in this case, for example, we have a VS Code server, which is an in-browser VS Code code editor. And similarly to describing your operating system, you can describe applications in a similar fashion. So in this case, the only application we want is Open VS Code server. So we enable it. And in this case, one of the new features is we disabled the connection built into VS Code server ourselves, because we now have our own authentication framework. So here we have a domain, which I own, which is test.xnode.podmans.com. And here I can not only define that it should expose my VS Code app to the entire world, but it also restricts access to just this Ethereum wallet. So when I go to the website, first, similar to your CAPTCHA, will be redirected into this interface where I'm supposed to connect my wallet to authenticate that I actually have access to this application. In this case, the wallet signing is on my mobile phone, so you won't see it. And that gives me access. But if you try to access this application, you get into a similar page, but logging in with any other wallet, of course, will not grant you access. This is one of the improvements, which, for example, allows us to get rid of the current automated credential generation. So instead of having to log in with your email and password, it can do it automated based on the demo Xnode you're reserving. So either based on IP address or based on your wallet collect, like you just saw here. Other than that, one of the advantages of NixOS is that updates are super easy. It can automatically decide which dependencies you have, which in this case are GitHub repositories of applications you are running. Similarly, for any applications you have. And basically checking all these apps and then clicking the update button is all that's required. And it will automatically update all applications to the latest version, instead of for every application having to figure out how to update. Some of them might auto-update, others might need you to download the install script again, maybe even uninstall, which makes this server management a lot easier. On top of having security guarantees built into the Xnode OS by default, this is one of the security benefits it provides you, because now it's so easy to manage your server. you can do it yourself, even with, for example, our no-code, low-code platform at Xnode Studio, meaning you do not need a technical developer or a DevOps or a sysadmin to do this for you, which of course is convenient that they take care of the technical complexity, but provides a major risk because they need the access to do their job. They have a lot of sensitive permissions into all of your applications, such as, for example, secrets. They can make unauthorized edits and perform malicious actions, which is, of course, a massive security issue. Hence why Xnode gives certain security benefits. And on top of that, because of this NixOS configuration, makes it easier to develop for, as Nix guarantees that whatever you have on your local development will also be exactly the same as when you deploy it on the server. This also means that you don't have vendor lock-in like you currently have with hardware. If I'm hosted this on AWS and I decide at any point that I buy a server at home and I want to migrate it, I can just copy this configuration. I can copy the file system state, and now I have an exact replica of that server running locally. And one of the things what we want to enable with Xnode is also, of course, the developers building on top of it. So we have SDK for several languages, such as Rust, TypeScript, and React, which this front end you see is one of the examples of what you can make with the React SDK. And similarly is our Openmesh Studio is also using the same React SDK. And similarly, you can also make your own front end in case you don't like this technical interface, but you also don't like our no-code, low-code solution. You can make your own interface based on this SDK, and it makes it a lot easier to develop on top of Xnode. Now, this SDK is not the only thing you can put on top of Xnode, because on top of this SDK, you can have more layers of managers on top of your Xnode. For example, as John already mentioned, in the new version, we might have decentralized access control, meaning that your configuration access, such as editing what applications are running, might be restricted to an external data source, such as a blockchain permission. And similarly, you can do this for your full Xnode, your operating system, but also just for one application. And similarly, you can also give access to one application under certain conditions, such as you have to provide staking, which allows you to way easier set up your own AI monetization framework. So you set up an AI server which integrates with Xnode authentication. Based on the Xnode authentication, we'll get access based on the people who are either paying a subscription fee or staking to your smart contract. And once they stop staking or once their subscription ends, then the access will automatically be revoked, making it a lot easier for you to set up your business with just focusing on the application and leaving the core technologies to Openmesh. Now, this is a lot to go through, obviously. So in case you have any technical questions later, maybe you're not watching live, maybe you get a question later, or maybe you want to investigate, then I highly recommend you to reach out to me directly for any questions. So you can reach me by email, which also has the same QR code here. And of course, it will also be available during the Q&A session we have right after this. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the update, Sam. That was great.